We've lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with a few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Good evening, everybody. It is Memorial Day. It's 8 o'clock. It's Monday night. It is May 26th.
It's Memorial Day. It's garbage day.
Just gonna start shooting people. Thanks for tuning in. It's the Drive-In Speaker Box Podcast. I'm your host, Bo the Boom Operator.
I'm Slick Doggy the Grip.
And we've got a show for you tonight, man. We actually saw some movies again, like we told you we would. We actually saw both of the movies we promised last week. Sometimes we're always out here being like, we're gonna go see this movie. We'll probably go see this movie, and we'll probably even go see this movie. And Monday comes around and go, well, we didn't see any of those movies.
You know, sometimes life has plans.
Life finds a way.
Yeah, life finds a way to screw it up for you.
Yeah, it sure does. But this week we did it. We both saw Friendship, and we both saw Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. We did not see them together, so we'll be breaking that down here live online for you guys. If you are downloading the podcast, wherever it is you download podcasts, just search for the Drive-In Speaker Box Podcast. You might want to sometimes check out the live show. It's every Monday. You can tune in live on our Facebook, our YouTube, or our Twitch. Twitch is a lot of fun, a lot of interactive tools there, but you can find all of those links on our link tree. Just go to driveinspeakerbox.com and get in the action. We even have a Discord. There's even a Discord where everybody can just talk about movie-related shenanigans.
Getting up to shenanigans.
Always shenanigans. But before we get into movie reviews, let's talk about the news, because stuff happened. There was a big old talk about stuff. More Man of Steel extended trailers. Top Gun 3 got a update.
Not Man of Steel, but Superman.
Whatever. He's Superman. They're all the same. I saw the long trailer in theaters this weekend with Mission Impossible, and has all the monsters and super people and powers and then jokes about Crypto the dog. He has a dog. Isn't that cute and funny? So yeah, there's that. Top Gun 3 is yet to be officially greenlit, but they are still working on it. Tom Cruise's longtime collaborator, Christopher McQuarrie, has offered some updates about it online, so that might look like it's going the right direction, especially after the opening of the new Mission Impossible, which did pretty well at the box office. Did not quite overtake Lilo and Stitch, but nobody thought it would. But we'll talk about that at the end of the show when we do the box office report. A little bit of news about Reacher Season 4, that it's moving along.
I need to watch the season 3.
You didn't watch season 3?
No, not yet.
Ooh, I think you'll like it. I mean, it's Reacher, dude. You're gonna like it.
Sure.
And then also one of the things that I thought was pretty interesting, but to no one's surprise, Amazon Prime pulled the plug on the Robert Jordan adaptation of The Wheel of Time. After 3 seasons.
Wow, how did it get that far?
My point exactly. I have been painstakingly trying to trudge through the last season, and it is just brutal. It's so boring, and it, much like some of Robert Jordan's novels, where they just get bogged down in all of this, like, just mind-numbing detail. You're like, I don't give a shit. Like, let's kill some Trollocs, dude. Can we just cut to the fun part instead of all of these names that no one's gonna remember or care to? And so season 3, I haven't made it through, but they pulled the plug, so I guess I won't even try.
I watched like the first 1 or 2 episodes of that series. I was like, ugh.
Nah, the first season wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad. But then the second season was just so mediocre, and then this one has just been so pointless that I I don't know. Everybody wants to make the next Game of Thrones, and that's what this was in the wake of.
I mean, everyone wants to make the next first half of Game of Thrones, right?
Right.
No one wants Game of Thrones.
Well,
Though, I mean, I guess the what's it, the House of Dragons? It's doing. It's on its third or fourth season.
I guess it's got enough. There's enough niche audiences out in the world now to keep a lot of things afloat for at least a couple of seasons. But I mean, that's the problem when you try to recreate something. It's never going to have the power and the influence that the first one did. You know, I mean, that's why it's the first one. It captured all the magic and made something special for everybody.
Tell that Disney.
Well, that's why I mean, look at Disney. I think Disney is floundering right now, and they are trying really hard. I mean, they're making tons of money with things like Lilo and Stitch, which is just another repackaged Lilo and Stitch.
Well, and the crazy thing about that is that's kind of exactly my point. Is that Lilo and Stitch, I've been reading, is making money because it's out there as the option for people, but not one person has had a positive review of that movie. Yeah. I have not seen one thing that was like, heck yeah, dude, Lilo killed it. Everyone's like, why was this character taken out? How come they did this? Why would you change the story in this way? Like, everyone wanted to see what they've already seen, and instead they were given something that was the skin of what they've seen on top of something that they dislike greatly. And Well,
it's interesting to see that, I mean, even on the theme park front, like Universal Studios is stepping up to kind of lean into Disney's failures right now, because Disney's been spending all this money opening up, like, you know, Star Wars Galaxies and then Avatar World that no one asked for, and, you know, all these other like theme parks that are people aren't lining up. And then Universal Studios is like, hey, guess what? Epic Universe. Y'all want Monster Theme Park? Y'all want Mario Theme Park? Y'all want Jurassic Park? And, you know.
Universal doesn't have Marvel. I said Marvel, but that's because Universal used to have Spider-Man and the Hulk and all of that stuff before Disney bought Marvel.
Yep. So, but Universal is now, they opened up basically another park called Epic Universe. And it looks cool, and people are getting excited. So it's like, look out, Disney, man. Maybe come up with some new shit instead of just constantly trying to cram the same stuff over and over and over, or just like trying to get blood out of these turnips. Like, how many spin-offs of Marvel, or just like in that movie Friendship. I heard there's a new Marvel that looks great.
Marvel. This is a no Marvel spoiler house. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, Disney, I don't care. On Twitch in the comments here, let's see. Tony Jones says, I would not mind seeing a Stitch horror movie where he just like goes around and eats people.
Well, and that would make more sense with how those characters work. Make it like The Thing or something, like a creature from space that's there just to
devour,
destroy and ruin things.
Altopich on Twitch just says, Disney has gone scattershot. They are more focused on quantity over quality. That is absolutely true. And I think that they're losing their way. And I think the brand does not have the same stamp of quality that it used to have. Like, Disney used to mean something. Like when Disney was doing something, I was like, oh, geez, Disney's doing oh, wow, let's line up. Now it's just like, more Disney? Good Lord. And oversaturation, over market saturation, and we're seeing it kind of start to blow up in their face. So
yeah, well, and you know, where was I about to go with this? Talking about series and things that might not work, like that. What was the Amazon show? The Robert Jordan Wheel of Time. Yeah, Wheel of Time. And Disney stuff that just will continue to grind until their wheel of time just grinds to a halt, and it can't be helped. We got some news on which of the Narnias is being made by Greta Gerwig. It is going to be The Magician's Nephew.
Really?
Yeah, which is the perfect starting point.
Isn't that what you were like? Hopefully it's that. Yeah,
it sure was. Because in the chronological order of the way that the books occur, The Magician's Nephew is the prequel. It's about the creation of the world of Narnia.
Bible time.
Yeah, well, not so much in that one really, until you have Aslan roars the world into existence
On
and
the
all that stuff.
first day.
But it's not as overt, I guess. I don't know, but it's The Magician's Nephew is going to be sick to see on screen, maybe. Though
Greta Gerwig's a good director.
well, but that's the thing. Like, what is going to happen with the way that they do the Narnia? And it might be another one of those things.
Aslan, a woman.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. Who's voicing?
That's
It's like Tilda Swinton or something.
yeah. I think we covered that, right?
Yeah, we did. It was a while back. I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
Just bring back Liam Neeson, damn it.
He's too busy making Naked Gun movies. Like,
That looks good. I'm excited.
I don't know. The more I see that trailer, I guess that's my problem. Like, I have to stop watching. I need to just go to the movies 27 minutes after the start time, because I go to the movies every single week and I see these trailers every single week, and I just get so sick of seeing the same trailer over and over and over and over that the next time I see Liam Neeson's gooch in like a strawberry shortcake underpants, like spread eagle on that dude, I'm like, I don't know if I want to see this movie anymore. Or he's like, I'm Frank Drebin Jr. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think they really don't expect people to go to the movies like we do.
Yeah, true. And man, when I was I guess it was Mission Impossible, and they played the Naked Gun trailer. Every dude in there was just like gut laughing. They were just having a ball with that trailer. They're like, ha 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 ha. And
Well, if it's the first time you've seen it, then it's.
I did laugh when they did the OJ bit at the end. I was like, okay, that's pretty funny.
See, that was the one part of the trailer where I was like,
I thought
but
that one was funny. You were like, man, I really liked it when he was the girl, ripped the mask off, and then he was not a girl anymore, and he killed that guy with a lollipop. It was awesome.
I do think it's funny that he's just like straight up just like murdering people and everything. But yeah, maybe Lethal Weapon will be another one of those series, which is like, why are you doing this? But we'll see when it comes out.
Loaded Weapon.
Is that what they're calling this one?
No. Loaded Weapon was the Lethal Weapon spoof with Emilio Estevez. Didn't we talk about that? Like,
I'm sure we
shows
did.
back?
Yeah.
I thought
Sometimes we get in a loop, like when every episode for like 3.5 years
talking about Star Trek.
we couldn't not have like a Wayne's World reference or whatever in it.
Oh yeah. Diddle-doo.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you have any other news bits?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I had a bunch, and then my screen is not working, so I keep having to reload these.
Oh, gotcha. Because it seemed like you were having some difficulty with something over there.
Yeah, I had a whole thing going on. Live action Street Fighter stuff. They're making another live action Street Fighter.
Haven't they learned their
Hold
lesson
on, it gets
with
worse.
Neil McDonough?
Hold on, it gets worse. Wait, who was Neil McDonough?
He was M. Bison in the Chun-Li movie.
Oh, Chun-Li. I was like, which one is he in the live action Street Fighter? Yeah, with Kristen Kroik as Chun-Li. Yeah. I remember because I was like, oh, Smallville's cool. And then I watched that. I'm like, why'd you do this? Yeah. But Andrew Koji, Noah Centineo, I don't know who that is, Jason Momoa, and Roman Reigns.
If Jason Momoa is not Blanca, then
Well,
get
so
outta
Jason
here.
Momoa and Roman Reigns are both in talks to be there, which the two of them being on screen at the same time is weird to think about. But
I just want to see
who are they going? Which one of them is going to be Ken? They're going to make one of them Ken.
I don't want
I'm sure.
a Ryu and Ken story. I want like a buddy comedy with E. Honda, Zhang Heath, and Doslim, and
I will watch that movie.
Right? And they're just like, it's kind of like, the first half of Bloodsport where Frank Dukes is just like wandering Shanghai or whatever, and he meets the
Dude.
ogre from the Nerds, and they're like all buddy hanging out
Okay.
like in the arcades, and then they get into like rumbles in the street and stuff. But like take that premise, but make it E. Honda, Zhang Heath, and Doslim, and it becomes a story of friendship where these three people from very different walks of life that are coming together for this tournament, and then they the power of friendship through fighting and bonding.
I think you have a great idea with this. You could put You could bring Guile back into it that way too.
And he's the smug American douche.
No, don't make him a douche. Make him where he's buddies with him too. You know, have it where like he's like, oh, come check out my Air Force base and stuff. And then like they fight in these locations, and everyone's like, what the hell is going on here? But you know what would be cool is to have it where like Ryu and Ken only show up at the end because they're the dudes with like real superpowers. You know, like Hadouken.
I don't know, man. Guile has.
Tazumaki Senpukak.
What about your what?
Tazumaki Senpukak.
Simpcock?
No,
I don't know that move.
No, but dude, have Ryu and Ken only show up when like Akuma shows up and is like a real threat, and then you have like
With his beads.
Dude, that would be
Because I think that we need to see a Street Fighter movie that doesn't have Chun-Li,
make
Ken,
Dan the main character,
and it doesn't have
maybe,
it doesn't have M. Bison.
Maybe Jason Momoa is going to be Dan Hibiki.
I don't know. Night Ashley on Twitch said that she needs to rewatch Bloodsport Stat. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
It's a perfect 1.5 hour runtime. It moves fast. It's great. You get the real Chung-Li, who's badass, and yeah. No, that movie is so great. Frank Dukes, based on a true story, baby. Based on a true story.
On a true story, according to only Frank Dukes and discredited by everybody else.
Yeah.
But you know what? I love to think that that's like real
Just
story,
this
and
dude
that
who's
Frank
just like,
Dukes was just
man,
like,
let me tell you.
yeah, dude, my Japanese neighbor trained me to be a ninja, and then I went to this underground fighting tournament. You haven't heard of it. Don't worry about it. And trust me, I beat the shit out of everyone
All these
entirely.
dudes blind.
Yeah. Yeah, not one person could touch me, dude. I was all like, wow!
Yeah.
Dude, Kumite for life, dude. Yeah. Oh, man. Remember, see, I was about to say, you remember I talked about us being in loops? Remember when we'd play Kumite like 2 out of every 3 episodes?
Well, that was back when we could play music on the
but also, dude,
the show. Yeah, and then there was the song in there
so cool.
where he's like haunted by like the fatal, almost deathly injury of his friend, and he's like haunted by Chung-Li, and he doesn't want to like fight him, and he's scared, and he's on the subway, and it's like on my own alone tonight, and he's like seeing Chung-Li in the reflection. Dude, Bloodsport is
Bloodsport's a damn good
it's
movie.
a fucking great movie. But I'm telling you, the buddy comedy fighting movie that Street Fighter needs to be, they don't need to make that movie serious, right? They need to.
Yeah, that's true. Street Fighter lore and stuff like that is very rarely.
And it's just people
serious,
fighting
right?
each other. It just needs to be a goofy like tournament. Make it like, you know, if there's like Fast and the Furious street races that just like they come together and they have these street brawls. And, you know, they don't need to be like commandos trying to save the world, and Bison isn't smuggling international weapons.
And yeah, don't do like the anime where Vega tries to like murder Chun-Li because Chun-Li is like actually a cop. And it like, oh man, the Street Fighter anime even sucks so bad. Maybe don't make Street Fighter into films.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
it has not worked out great so
the
far.
only good like crossover into real life Street Fighter I've ever seen is like babes that cosplay as Kami. That's okay. I'll take that one. She's the one with the like red beret.
Yeah, and the camo legs. She's like, she's not a good character.
No, she's not. She's
Her whole
just-
character is that she has exposed legs.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying. I mean, it's good. It's good cosplay.
The Zangief and
I'm telling you, that's a good idea, right?
E Honda and Dalsim ideas much better.
I think it would be good because then you could like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like 3 characters that not a lot of people have stakes in, but have very colorful, exotic, like kind of backstories you could paint. And then you've got the, you know, the fish out of water from all the different cultures that they have to come together on, and you've already got your baked in diversity initiatives and your casting. Like, I think hey man, I could write dumbass movies in my sleep.
Dude, I think Velvet Santa has a good point here. They should make a video game adaptation of the film, which is based on the video game.
They already did that.
Someone should really get on that.
They
I
did
bet
that.
it would be.
They did that.
Who?
Street Fighter.
No.
There was Street Fighter the movie, the game.
Yeah, I know.
It was so bad.
I was there. I remember because they had Mulan as Chun Li, or you remember? And then, it was not so good.
No, it's not. No, that's like the telephone game, and by the,
Yeah,
it's like, hey, it's gonna be great, and then by the time it gets to you, it's like stinking turds, and you're like, what? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yeah. Poop Scoop Simulator.
Night Ashley says, wasn't there a quirky city guide that their helper for the tournament in Bloodsport? Yes, because I quote him constantly because I go, okay, USA.
Dude, yeah. Who doesn't say okay, USA? And they're like,
okay, USA.
Okay, USA. Yeah. That was the little tour guide guy.
Yeah. And then, dude, Academy Award winner, Ghost Dog he's in it. Forrest Whitaker. Yeah, I mean, come on.
He's one of the cops chasing him through the city.
They're running on the boats, getting in like a Mentos commercial. He totally like loses them in the streets, and he turns around and it's like, and they're like, oh shucks, you got me, Frank
It
Dukes.
straight up is the Mentos commercial though. It's like Mentos freshen, Mentos freshen, Mentos
goes better with fresh, it's like a full of life.
Yeah.
Frank Dukes, the fresh maker.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Bloodsport. Let's just stop the show now and turn it into a screening of Bloodsport. Let's just
here's
put it
the
on.
review of Bloodsport. Okay, USA.
Okay, USA.
That's the show.
Oh man. Well, anyway, let's talk about some movies that are coming out this week. Unless you have any more.
We got a new teaser for Toxic Avenger. We get to see some of the action in the movie. We get to see what's his name? Elijah Wood in action. As the leader of some like weird gang and everything.
He plays a great bad guy.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, people that are really good at being really good guys are oftentimes really good at Jude Law is so good at being
such a
evil,
good bad guy.
but then he's like such a lovable character at other times. And Elijah Wood, just sweet,
so
innocent,
good. John Goodman's
in
another one.
The Good Son. Oh, John Goodman's a evil
so,
bad guy. Elijah Wood's like just completely innocent in The Good Son, and he's Frodo Baggins, like the one of the most like untaintable people ever.
An amazing bad guy.
Yeah, and then Sin City, and you're like, what the hell is? Yeah, what the hell?
And I was like Hugh Grant, for most of his early career, he was just like this lovable good guy, and he's such a good bad guy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Such a good bad guy.
But so we get to see Toxic Avenger in action, where he like launches his like mop that looks like the meteor from Meteor Man. He launches the mop through like these guys' faces and like cuts people's jaws off.
Meteor Man
blows
is a
their
great
heads
movie,
up
by
and
the
stuff
way.
like that. Dude, Meteor Man is
Somebody I was talking to one of my
movie.
friends, and they had sent me a meme that they didn't even know what the movie was from, but it was a clip from Blank Man. Oh yeah. And I was like, classic, top notch weigh-in superhero movie. Like, come on. That was some A-list Damon Wayans.
Man, yeah, well, my stuff's messed up. There was one or two other bits of news that weren't really all that much, truly. I mean, it's just kind of been, we got some movies, so that's slower news. But Disney pulled some Marvel stuff from their lineup.
Good.
3 movies got taken off their release schedule.
Good.
So they are regrouping, maybe recalculating what they're going to do there. We got a trailer for Peacemaker Season 2, and we get to see some of Guy Gardner in that trailer, as well as some other members, and you get to see that they have a official Justice League uniform, which is dumb. I don't like that. I don't like that they're not in their own costumes, that they're in some like Justice League leather outfit, which I think makes it feel more stupid than like if they're all like their own thing, especially for a Green Lantern. It's like, he's a Green Lantern. He's not a Justice League. Like,
right.
He's a higher power than
the Justice League is just like Earth.
Green Lantern is like
the Lantern Corps are multi-universal.
They do everything across the
galaxies. Yeah.
So I think that's.
He's just a lantern that's like assigned to this galaxy,
to the
right?
sector.
Yeah,
the sector of the galaxy. I think it's super stupid that like Green Lanterns consistently underrated and undervalued, and to have Green Lantern, if he is like the Green Lantern, because I don't know if there's a Hal Jordan or a Kyle Rayner or a who's the sniper one, John Jones, in the mix or not, but as like the Green Lantern on the Justice League, I think it's dumb for him to have a uniform. I think it's dumb like if Hawk Girl has a uniform. It's like there's these people that are like greater than the Justice League. Anyhow, Peacemaker season 2 trailers out there. Looks like maybe they're trying to do something interesting with that. John Stewart, thank you. Because I know that there's like a John Jones and then there's a John Jones. Jones, which is the Martian Manhunter.
Yeah. John.
Yeah, John Stewart to me was always like the least interesting of the Green Lanterns, because Alan Scott is definitely the best one, and John Stewart was like I'm a military sniper or whatever. It's like, like what when the point of the Green Lanterns is like imagination, and he doesn't have any, and Kyle has like haunting
and that's not
nightmares, and he was like an artist and all this stuff, and it's like, oh, perfect for being Green Lantern and having problems that make comic books interesting. Guy Gardner's just a butthole man. You have a lot to work with there. Like John Stewart was just too like rigid and like unimaginative for me to buy as being a Green Lantern.
Has Peacemaker, have they included Plastic Man yet?
I don't think so.
Because I feel like that's the perfect avenue to get some Plastic Man. Because Plastic Man is so much better than Mr. Fantastic. Because Plastic Man is a butthole man.
Completely different powers.
Well, they're just rubber stretchy guys, right?
No, man. No. Reed Richards. And
he's just smart. But their power is stretch, right?
No, Plastic Man's ability is far beyond stretch.
I thought he was just stretchy guy. He could just do stretch.
Well, but he can do like Plastic Man is like only limited by his imagination and stuff like that. Like there's been times where he's stretched himself into like a wormhole, or like he's rolled into a ball and survived at like the bottom of the ocean, or like crazy. Like Plastic Man can do insane things because he is insane, and it's like he is his only limitation.
And the fact that he's crazy is what keeps him
But
in check.
usually Plastic Man's powers are expressed as
being a rubber guy.
He can shapeshift by doing whatever. But
Plastic Man's cool.
Yeah, Elongated Man is closer to Mr. Fantastic, but Mr. Fantastic, like there's one comic where he stretches the wrinkles in his brain to have the most powerful mind and alters reality to trick Dr. Doom, who is trying to control reality, but Reed Richards stretches his mind so that he is controlling the reality in actuality, and Dr. Doom is trapped in that. Dude, so it's Fantastic Four 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's super, super badass. Reed Richards' real power is like being the smartest person to have ever been, ever.
Smarter than... I'm trying to think of other really smart guys in Marvel.
Yeah, the only person smarter than Reed Richards is Franklin Richards.
What about the brain guy? But that's DC. That's not Marvel.
What brain guy? I mean, there's plenty
the
of
Hulk
brain
guy.
Well, that's Marvel.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, that's Marvel, not DC.
The leader.
Yeah, the leader.
Yeah, no, Reed Richards smarter. Yeah. Anyhow, yeah, we might not be getting so many of those Marvel movies.
Boo-hoo!
Fantastic Four is coming out real soon, though, and each of its trailers make it look more and more dumb.
Yes, they do. Well, speaking of movies that are coming out in theaters, let's talk about what's coming out in theaters this weekend, because we're getting some. This is going to be a very, very packed lineup of movies this weekend with all the releases that we got this weekend for Memorial Day. But we're getting a couple of more, two big ones that are getting a nationwide release that we'll talk about. There's a couple of like really probably straight to DVD or limited release. There's one it's called Tim Travers and the Time Traveler's Paradox. It looks like shit, but looks like fun. It's got Keith David and Danny Trejo in it somehow, but it looks like a terribly shot and poorly produced movie, but the idea is fun. But the two that are getting a nationwide release is a horror movie that's coming out called Bring Her Back. It's from the directors of Talk to Me, and it's It's about this brother and sister uncovering this ritual of their new foster mother, and it's like they're killing this child and then bringing it back through some weird ritual. But there's like demonic possession and a lot of just creepy kids, creepy kooky kids, scary stuff. Looks like a horror movie. Walks like a horror movie, sounds like a horror movie. I'm sure it'll make some money because people are like, looks scary, I'm going to see a scary movie. So that's coming out in theaters this week. And then finally, hopefully putting this to rest, because I was very much on board with Cobra Kai. And I'm like, all right, what a great way to just, finally just tie up loose ends and bring some characters back, play in that world a little bit, close the book, put it to bed on a respectful note, and then they're like, Karate Kid Legends! You thought we were done. We're back, and we're going to somehow marry the Karate Kid movie with Jackie Chan with the Daniel LaRusso.
And it also has Mulan in it?
Yes. Yes.
Ming-Na Wen.
Yeah, Ming-Na Wen. The more I see this trailer, the more I just don't understand why this movie exists. The
whole thing with
because it's the same character
making Karate Kid a Kung Fu Kid is the one that people don't like so much. It's like the least liked one. So why do it again though?
Yeah.
I don't understand why the point is that a Kung Fu Kid is going to be the hero of a Karate Kid.
Well, here's the synopsis, right? So this Kung Fu prodigy, who's Li Fong, he's the main character, the kid. He moves to New York City, much like Daniel LaRusso moving to, Reseda from his hometown. He attracts some unwanted attention from a local karate champion, so much like Daniel LaRusso in the first Karate Kid. And then he embarks on this journey to get into this karate championship. But his old sensei, Mr. Han, I guess enlists the help of Daniel LaRusso because he knows Kung Fu, but they're having to compete in a karate competition. So they're like, well, Daniel LaRusso is the karate competition guy. So then they have to marry Miyagi-Do with Kung Fu to help this kid stand up to bullies when he should have just used Kung Fu and kicked their asses in the street. Yeah.
Sounds like poop.
It sounds like poop.
I mean, the Karate Kid, whichever one was with Jaden Smith or whatever, just Karate Kid or whichever one it was.
But it was Jackie Chan was Mr. Han, like that was the character he played.
That one was Dookie, and for something to be worse than the next Karate Kid, and for them to do a spin-off of the one that's the worst one, that sucks. And
and as Al Topich just said on Twitch, he says, surely Hollywood is almost done milking the 1980s. No, they never will be. As long as they can get any juice out of that, they're gonna. But the problem with this, again, like you said, they're not just repackaging this crap. they're making the Karate Kid premise again, but with trying to add new characters while keep the same characters at the same time. And I just think this is not a good formula. I think Cobra Kai worked for reasons of absurdity. Like they were like, let's just bring this back. As Daniel's wife said so many times in the show, I was like, why is our life so governed by karate? And they knew, like, there was something that they were doing in that show that they knew that it was silly. They knew that this was and they were having fun with it.
Well, yeah, and I mean it worked with the original stories and material, and they did everything very respectfully. They did all the nostalgia the right way the majority of the time, and every time, and they maintained a suspension of disbelief because whenever a character would be like, "What the hell? No, this is not normal." Like having karate showdown fights in our homes is unacceptable. That's not how
normal.
it works. Yeah, and people get get arrested and like it gets shut down, and then everyone's like bummed for an episode or two, and then something happens where it triggers it, and then whoever the one that was like, no, real life doesn't happen this way, they would be like, you know what, karate fight time, and then it brings it back to create that suspension of disbelief where it's like, well, in this world of Southern California, you know what,
Maybe it does.
karate does happen that way.
And I think so. Velvet Santa on Twitch just asked. He said, "Do you think that there's a chance y'all could be pleasantly surprised with the movie?" And possibly, but I think the reason why I won't be is because Cobra Kai. The reason why I liked Cobra Kai is at its core, it's a comedy. It's an action comedy, right? It's not a drama. It has dramatic elements. Sure, there's, like Jake just said, there's some elements of drama and tension and consequence. But at its core, they're just like, yeah, this is still a comedy.
Well, and the purpose of Cobra Kai and why it took so long for it to happen, and if you watch any of the older interviews with, I was about to say
meme.
Daniel LaRusso, Ralph Macchio, and William Zabka, when you watch these talks with them, they're like, yeah, we had talked about it, we had been discussed, we had been approached with scripts before, none of them worked, but this is the one that worked and we all agreed on. And it was because it was for fans, and it was like a love letter to the series, and it respected what was there rather than trying to capitalize on something. And remember, it started as a YouTube Red or YouTube, like a YouTube Red thing.
Yeah.
And it took it a season or two to get off the ground, and then it moved to Netflix and became a bigger deal. But this was something that was just put on YouTube, and everyone's like, hey, they're really actually doing something here. And as a fan of this series of movies, this is exactly what I would want from a TV show for it. Yeah. And I like everything about it. Whereas this movie is just serious. Like, heard you guys like Jackie Chan, huh? We know that you didn't like Jaden Smith in the last one. But what if instead of the kid from the U.S. here, now it's a Chinese kid, and maybe you'll like that better. And it reminds me of some noodles that I saw at Aldi the other day, which said Pad Thai ramen in a Chinese to-go box. And I thought,
that's a lot of incorrect cultural assumptions.
Exactly. And that's what this movie is. Because that's how the last one with Jackie Chan was, because they called it Karate Kid, and they called it that because the kid goes, I saw karate on TV, and then he gets his butt kicked, and he goes, oh, can I learn Kung Fu from Jackie Chan instead? Which just defeats the entire purpose of Karate Kid.
It's Kung Fu Kid. As Tony Jones asked over on Twitch just now, he said, didn't they say that Cobra Kai was going to lead into this movie? Did I miss something in the end? No, because here's how I assume. I have not seen this movie. I've not read the script. I've only seen the trailer, and it doesn't mention any of this. But logically speaking, if you're going to connect these dots in a cinematic universe, at the end of Cobra Kai, the Miyagi-Do hybrid, like, it goes through, there's Cobra Fang and Miyagi-Do and Eagle Kai and Cobra. It goes through a journey, and it's fun. But at the end, they win, and they win the Tekai Saikai, which is like this international karate tournament.
Urukai Tenkaichi.
Yes. And so they become, internationally recognized for that moment in time as being the best karate school in the world, right? So logically speaking, if that happened in this universe, then if Mr. Han is seeking out in America a karate dojo master, it would make sense that he would look to Daniel LaRusso, because he's just been on international news as his dojo winning the Tekai Saikai. So, but that's loose.
But instead, they decided to have a connection between
with Mr. Miyagi or some shit.
Yeah, Jackie Chan's character and Pat Morita's character, and it's,
which I think is, if they try to make that connection, that's some bullshit right there, dude.
Yeah,
that is some stanky old bullshit, man.
That's what they've shown in the previous trailers, is that Jackie Chan's like, oh, I knew Miyagi or whatever. Yeah. I don't think there's a way for this to be good. You asked if there's a way we might be pleasantly surprised. Sure, man. Jackie Chan has been entertaining me
for
the majority of my life.
generations.
Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio are both people that I've grown up watching their movies. I have many fond memories of the things that they've given us, but I don't see a way for this to be good.
While I know that Ralph Macchio has been practicing karate his entire life after the Karate Kid movies, and he does really get into martial arts, that is for fact, I still do not take him seriously when I'm watching him do martial arts on screen. But because Cobra Kai was a comedy at its heart, then I can like,
it didn't matter.
It didn't matter because I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy's gonna triumph through, you know, the power of will and friendship. But then when you put him in a stage next to a dude like Jackie Chan, you know, where there's people doing backflips and spin around moves even when he's like 79, like, no, Ralph Macchio, I cannot take you seriously doing a crane kick when this dude just literally kicked a crane out of the sky because he could jump that high. Like, no. No, I can't.
Yeah. You know, and also I think part of what really made Cobra Kai something worth watching was that it was Cobra Kai. It wasn't Miyagi. It started out that Daniel was a butthole man and that Zabka's character, you know, what's his name? Main dude, Johnny Lawrence got the spotlight and became like a sympathetic character instead of the doucher man. And that, like, you know, Johnny was your everyman that everyone could recognize with, and without Johnny Lawrence there to be like the heart of things, you know, Ralph Macchio's character
was kind of a turd. He
continued to lose sympathy through the movies because he was just more and more of a butt. Yeah, I don't know, man. I like Karate Kid 1, 2, 3. Not next Karate Kid or Jackie Chan Karate Kid. I like Cobra Kai, and I don't think I'm gonna like this.
The Chosen arc, as Tony Jones points out on Twitch, that Chosen arc in Cobra Kai was also great. Again, like flipping the script on a character that was a huge butthole man that turned around to kind of be a fun, lovable, you know, and that's why that show was. That's why the show was good. This movie, I don't know. It's not it. I'm gonna see it. You know, I'm gonna see it.
Probably watch it and just dislike everything about it. Velvet Santa says, "Wish they would make a Crossroads series." How can you have a series of that? Just, especially now, just Ralph Macchio's been just hanging out in these clubs playing guitar for the last 40 years, and Steve Vai is still mad about it or whatever. Like, I don't think that would work out well at all.
So that's coming out in theaters, Karate Kid Legends. Also, if you are in one of the big DMAs, you know, the big markets that get all the limited release, I do believe that Ballerina is going to be coming out on an early preview week this week. So if you are in a larger market, check your local listings. You might be able to get a screening of Ballerina, but that technically does not open until next week. So that is what's going on. So, all right, with that said, let's start reviewing some movies. Let's talk about Friendship, shall we? Because I don't think we'll spend as much time on this one as we will with Mission Impossible, just because Mission Impossible is Mission Impossible, and it gets us hype. Friendship is the new A24 comedy starring Paul Rudd, Kate Mara, and Tim Robinson. A lot of you guys know Tim Robinson. He's been blowing up the internet lately because he's been clipped and memed a lot with his show I Think You Should Leave. And, you know, he's got this sort of like, if you don't know Tim Robinson, he's got this very Joe Schmo schmucky shtick where he takes tropes from generally like corporate America and general like white guy tropes and just hams them up to the nth degree. And that's like his comedy. And then Paul Rudd is Paul Rudd. You know, he does the Paul Rudd, and he does it well. And you know, it is what it is. This movie, either I'm not the correct demographic for this movie, despite A24 being very much my demographic. They made a movie that I think every bro, this is a bra. I get, and this is just my take. I want to hear your take in a moment, but I think this kind of movie makes bras feel like they're smarter than they are. and they go, yeah, that movie was incredible, dude. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, bro. Oh my God. And A24, dude, I'm into A24. I'm into some art movies, bro. And this one was like, hell yeah, baby. I thought it was like watching an extended episode of I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson featuring the Paul Rudd's character from Anchorman.
Yeah. Okay. So that summation is completely accurate. So, but when I went to the theater, right, everyone in that theater was clearly expecting a comedy.
Oh, those people were ready to laugh in my theater. As soon as Tim Robbins' face was on there, they're like,
same. Because I watched the opening night, right?
Okay, yeah.
Or wide release opening night, because it's been out like 3 weeks now. But wide release only this past week. So everyone was very ready to laugh, and they would at, the slightest things, right? But I don't think people were really expecting the A24 part of this. And that part being that the point in the core of this movie is that it's one man's spiral into psychotic insanity.
And I didn't think it slid far enough.
Yeah. So that's exactly where I'm going, is that it shows the journey of this socially secluded man who has been tending to his wife that has had cancer, and his entire identity has been working and caring for her. He doesn't have a social life. He doesn't have anything outside of his routine. There's nothing that has any excitement in his life. They lead a very dull, drab life, reflected in his home, his life, his outfit, his job, his everything. And he accidentally ends up making a friend, and he doesn't know how to handle that, and it turns into obsession, and that obsession becomes identity, and when it's challenged, it spirals into like a psychotic break and an insanity that he can't control, because he only wants to be accepted, and he doesn't know how to approach that,
and he doesn't think he's doing anything wrong.
He goes overboard with it, and
that idea, the premise is solid. Like,
everything about that would be very good if it was delivered on, and at the end of the movie it is not.
And I think that this is where I am going to chalk this up as a shortcomings with Tim Robinson as not a comedian, because I think he's a very good comedian, but I think that if he was able to take that role and make him be scary at the end and a little bit of frightening in his crazy, I think it would have been a lot more convincing as a psychological.
I don't think that would work, though.
Really?
I think the way that...
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that? No.
I think that the way that their characters were done was fine. I think the script failed them in that, because everything worked. Kate Mara's character had a lot going on, and then gets left by the wayside. More of her, because it just awesome. Gets totally dropped and left by the wayside. And the ending is very rushed, but and does not deliver. The son had like a lot of weird stuff going on, and you just get little snippets of that, and it's not enough. But at the end,
he was the kid in Shazam.
Yeah, he was. The way that the ending panned out would have been fine if it would have had a better build.
Well, and I was also hoping that maybe it would have, what I would have liked to seen is his descent into madness would have been like his imagination or his psychotic break filling in the gaps of this friendship where that wasn't really there.
More than just the one bit at the end.
At the end, yeah. To where at the end it's like you find out that Paul Rudd maybe didn't do a whole lot of those things that was kind of in his head, and then he's waving a gun around and it gets dangerous at the end, and I was like, oh, that would have been a little more interesting, but they played the slapstick to the end.
They did. It had a lot of promise. It had a very loose build to it that doesn't feel like any kind of satisfactory payoff. And I'm not saying that the ending has to be something that leaves you like satisfied or like feel like things are resolved. The way that it ends is fine, but the way that it got there just didn't work out. And I think it has a pacing issue. And I think some of the characters are developed too much to not have any sort of resolve or payoff at the end of the movie. And they paid too much attention to the comedy and strayed too far away from like the premise of the movie.
Yeah. Al on Twitch just brought up a great question. I'm glad that you mentioned this. He says, is their friendship similar to the friendship in The Cable Guy? Because The Cable Guy, again, very similar premise. You've got a very famous comedian known for his physical comedy that's doing a dark role about friendship spiraling into madness and obsession. And in a way, I wish that it was more like The Cable Guy. Because in The Cable Guy, Matthew Broderick's character was simply just being friendly, right? He didn't actually want to be Jim Carrey's friend. In this movie, and I think this is a mistake, a failing of the script, is Paul Rudd's character like overtly and overhandedly accepts this dude as like his best friend forever. Immediately, just like Tim Robbins even said, he goes, "You accepted me too quickly," you know, and I think that by doing that, it made the whole kind of movie fall apart a little bit, and it broke the sort of paranoid obsession that could have been developed.
I think that I didn't have a problem with that. It wasn't until the movie was really in its third act that everything that it had established and developed just led, it was like all roads to nowhere kind of a thing. And I think so much of it could have been done better. Because, we said earlier, throughout the movie, he says, like, a Marvel. He keeps calling Marvel movies a Marvel. He's like, hey, there's a new Marvel out. We can rent it and we can watch that. Don't give me spoilers.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
And they could have done something with that and paid off with that by, like, giving you a stinger at the end like a Marvel movie or something, just to make that joke pay off instead of just letting it taper and peter out. Well, they could have also had it, because he starts out wearing just all brown, all drab, all earth tone stuff. And he's very boring, and he talks about the one shop, and he's like, it's the only place I can find clothes that fit me. And everything is like the first half of an I Think You Should Leave joke that doesn't have its ending. And
I think that, to me, and you know, I don't know if you're familiar with the comedy of David Wayne, Michael Showalter, and Michael Ian Black. Like, they're old school. They had a comedy group called Stella, and you know, they wrote Wet Hot American Summer, you know, movies like The Baxter and The State. You know, that was their earlier, but their comedy as Stella was very much the kind of Tim Robbins, what he borrows, these like weird social tropes, you know, and then like taking a social trope and pushing it into absurdity, to where it's like, this is something that you've heard a million times, but we never realize how stupid and awkward it is. And Tim Robbins really good about that. But like you said, it's like the jokes never get to that payoff at the end, because it's so many skits trying to be crammed into one, but they never finish any of the skits.
Well, and, you know, I've been told that I Think You Should Leave is Autism the Experience, and that played into this, but it didn't ever go anywhere with it. Yeah. But yeah, like it could have had a stinger like Marvel. His clothes, as he became like a more outgoing person, or
cool
his life
drummer
changed,
guy.
Yeah, he could have like developed in some way, but he stayed that same until the end. The movie has a lot of potential followed by a lot of failings. And it had a solid premise of watching this man, spiral into madness as his life continued to unravel. And, you know, and not to spoil the movie, but like at the very end, everything comes back together. His life is starting to be whole again and repair itself, and maybe for the better, just for everything to suddenly end, and
this is a little catalyst moment.
And maybe not pan out the way that you would expect it to, but it doesn't give you that build enough. So it's not a bad movie, but it doesn't answer any questions. No. It doesn't.
It's definitely not like the tagline from GQ that says the funniest movie I've ever seen in my life. Like, no, this movie has some laughs.
There's not rewatchability to it.
I don't think it's not very rewatchable. Certainly, these two guys are very fun to watch and good on screen, but it's not an instant classic. It's not,
The gags all work out, but they don't go anywhere, and it doesn't work as a single sitting thing. I don't know. It's hard to say.
It makes me
lots of potential and no.
So yeah, I mean, it's people are liking it. It's not a bad movie, but I think for people like us that have seen a whole lot more movies that are done and dealing with a similar idea, that there are better movies out there. But Tim Robinson's at the pinnacle of his career right now, and Paul Rudd is, it's Paul Rudd.
Well, like I said, he's
an institution.
They both did great, and I think that I think the editing of the movie really
got
fails
its way.
it.
Well,
The script and/or editing of the movie fails their performances.
Well, it's in theaters right now. You can check it out. It's out there in how many theaters? I want to say about 1,000. So it's not in all of them, but it is out there, so you can get a chance to see it. So that leaves us with Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Yeah, man. New Mission Impossible.
I have not got to talk to anyone about this at all yet.
It was the final reckoning. And you know what's so weird?
You sound like how I feel, which is that I don't know how to feel about it. Say what you want to say.
Well, it was so weird because normally I was like, I'm going to watch all the Mission Impossibles. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to watch the first movie. I'm going to go back and just watch the first movie. And oddly enough, that was the one they referenced the most. So I'm really glad that I went back and watched the first movie. But while I had an amazing time watching this movie, the stunts were out of control. The action was fun. You get some send-offs from some characters that you love, and it felt like a little bit of a love letter to the series as a whole. But it just kind of left me like going, I just held my breath for 3 hours. Thanks.
The way that I looked at the ending to be more satisfied with how everything pans out is that
Why don't they talk to each other?
this is based on a TV series, right?
True, yes.
And it ends the way that a TV episode would. And
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and I'm not mad. Don't mix my words. I am not mad. I had a great time watching this movie. I was walking out of the theater like gonna go to the bathroom. I've been holding it for 3 hours. And Velvet Santa asked on Twitch, I've only seen the first one. Can I skip ahead to this one? Absolutely.
You really could. It'll give you the beginning of the movie has a montage that gives you a rundown. Also, as far as holding the bathroom, I also tried to do that. But there was more than enough opportunities to get up and go to the bathroom.
I did go to the bathroom in the middle of the movie because I had to pee twice because it's a 3-hour movie and I drank my whole Coke. I went in the Antarctic scene where they're on the sled with the sled dogs.
Oh, you didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
I went when they were just talking to each other in the submarine.
Okay. Although I will say I have to tip my hat, but I don't have his name memorized yet. He's the guy from Severance. Who was he's an up and comer. Severance was actually his first role. He's not a big actor, but now people are paying attention to him. What is his name? Tremel Tillman. He plays Milchek in Severance.
The captain of the
the
submarine?
captain of the sub. I'm like, we're gonna see a lot more of him.
Believable.
He kept calling him Mister. He's like, all right, Mister, and he just was very believable as a sub captain. And there was a lot of great characters in this movie. Ving Rhames, of course, you just nails it as Luther because it's Ving Rhames, but you don't see him very often. Simon Pegg, doing his thing. I really liked the arc with Pom Clementiev's character Paris. I kind of liked it.
I could have lived without her coming back in this movie because she got murdered in the last one.
That's true, but he saved her life. And I think that it also illustrated how the Impossible Mission Force can go in and out of members of the team and how that somehow happens. They're not assigned to it. It's kind of like loyalty. and unbreakable bonds. That's why he cares about his team so much. Because I liked her inclusion in that because it showed how strong Ethan's unit is, and it's not just an assignment. It's because they all believe in something together.
Holy shit! I just realized something.
What?
Ethan is Luffy.
He is Luffy.
His real power is his ability to inspire
Others
and the people around him and create the bonds of friendship.
Yes. Are you just now coming to that realization?
One Piece is Mission Impossible?
No, that's Ethan Hunt's superpower is
No,
his
I mean,
unwavering loyalty to his friends.
Well, they outright told you
They did.
in the last movie.
They heavy-handedly done that. There's a really good article out that I can't remember who wrote it, but I was reading it. It's about the dumbing down of all of our media to where everything's becoming more heavy-handed and more like telegraphed like that, where this should have just been a thematic thing. But in this one, they go, Ethan, your downfall is the fact that you'll do anything for your friends. And you're like, fuck, yeah, we know, dude. We don't need Holt McCallany like telling us that in a meeting.
Yeah, but then they did the cool stuff where they didn't tell you shit what was going on. And then when they would like rip mask off or something would happen, you're like, oh. And it was like, yeah, this was part of the plan that you didn't know about, audience. And you're like, yeah, Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible be doing that, though. Like it. Haley Atwell's really come into her character. I thought that she would get on my nerves from time to time, but I understand her place in the assembly of the lineup.
Fast track to being like
A super secret agent.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
She did get a little fast track. And then Kittredge, and that's one problem I have with the character of Kittredge is how is
super
it
butthole.
super butthole, but why does he just not completely and universally always trust Ethan Hunt? Because how many times has Ethan ever been wrong?
He even hands out the dossier to everyone of like how many times that Ethan Hunt alone has been the savior of the entire world. And he's like, well, he gambles with several people's
You're
lives.
telling me he killed a guy? And you're like, what part of any of your jobs ever isn't about how many people you kill in a day?
Yeah. They're like, it says here you save the world. It says here that the next day you also save the world. It says here that 2 years later you save the world.
But it also says you killed a guy, and we can't. That won't stand. What a rogue agent.
Yeah. Also, Angela Bassett, like, why was she there?
Because I'm going to defend Angela Bassett. President Bassett, I will take all day. Angela Bassett rules. I like her. I think she should be in more.
How much screen time did she have? 5 minutes?
Well, how much screen time did she need?
That's what I'm saying. Why was she there?
Because it's Angela Bassett. She makes a good president.
But other than, like...
We needed a black lady president.
That's fine. Well, all right, hold on. It was fine until the movie did the heavy-handed girl power thing too many times in a row.
Well, that does...
All of the Osprey pilots, also nothing but women. All of the badass scuba divers, nothing but women. All of Ethan Hunt's team and the Inuit lady that's the most badass of them all.
She was the coolest.
Nothing but women.
And then the captain of the
the
aircraft character.
The chick from Game of Thrones that made Cersei walk through the streets. Yeah.
Yeah, she was an aircraft character.
The very intense, heavy hand of being like, look at women in power. How do you feel about it? Was too many times in a row. It would have been fine if it wasn't. Like, as soon as President Angela Bassett showed up, whatever, fine. I don't care.
I'm cool because she's presidential. She rules.
Because she was all like, you cop and tood with me? Get screwed.
Shut it down.
And it was fine. And then when it went to captain of the USS George W. Bush, fine. Cool. Totally fine. As soon as the Osprey pilot showed up, I was like, hold on a second. And then as soon as the super scuba diver that electrocutes him, I'm like, hold on a second. And as soon as the Inuit lady showed up, I'm like, come on, movie. Come on. And then as soon as like Palm's character and Haley Atwell's characters were the only ones doing anything to save anybody, come on. It became very Avengers Endgame 2.
Well, and I think
for a moment,
I think our issue with it to tell Night Owlishly is like, you know what, I'm fine with that. Do you know how many action movies I grew up watching were all men except for Token Woman who's pretty look at? I agree. I agree with that completely.
It's not that I have a problem with any element of it. It's that it was all there, very handedly.
when it doesn't feel like, because
It didn't feel natural.
Well, when we can go back and we can watch those old movies, it didn't feel natural then either. Because I think a lot of us had that same question, but like, why is there only just one token pretty woman to look at? Like, it felt awkward to a point where we're like, we don't like that. And I think when that pendulum swings the other way too, it also feels weird and awkward. When if you just present it as normal, and then you're not having. You don't ever go back and second guess it. Like
There's
you
never
said,
been a time where I've been like questioned Sarah Connor.
Never.
There's never been a time where Alien, Sigourney Weaver's character
Ripley.
There's
Oh,
never
yeah,
been a time
never.
where I'm like, a question how badass of a character Ripley is or something like that. It was just it was way too much, and they made it way too obvious, and it detracted from
The realism of the story.
Yes, yeah.
And and I think that's where some of that stuff gets in the way of good quality storytelling. I mean, you can do that, like when it just doesn't seem like they're trying to force a message down your throat. And because then it's like, what are we paying attention to? The message that you're trying to send, or the story that's going on?
Honestly, if the Osprey's pilot and co-pilot weren't both there, I probably would not have even recognized the pattern.
Yeah.
Because the Inuit lady,
She was the best. One of
the best characters in the whole movie.
I want a whole show of her. She was the coolest. She didn't speak a lick of English. She
didn't care to.
She didn't care to. She just had the best facial expressions.
Oh, and the whole
and
watch out for polar bears.
yeah, she's like, wow. And she was so freaking cool and fearless and clearly not trained in any CIA anything. But she's like, let's go get them, dude.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah. Like, I live in the Arctic tundra. I ain't scared. I ain't never scared.
The nostalgia that they did in this movie, or like the callbacks to the original movie, were done very well.
Yeah. I mean, I really liked the callback to the character from the first movie. I thought that was a really fun way. And they didn't do it in just a little, oh, he's just here for a second. They developed that. And in a way that I thought brilliantly tied together. They're in an airplane ride, and Ethan is like going through some shit, and he goes, man, I'm really sorry that my actions ruined your life, man. And then this guy came back around. He's like, dude, if you hadn't, then I never would have come out here and found peace. I never would have met my badass Inuit wife that I love very much, and I never would have had this life that I actually really like. So in a sense, you saved my life. And it was this cool callback from the very first mission that we ever saw Ethan do, where he thinks that, everybody's holding it against him, and he's fucking up all the time and blowing things up and too much collateral damage. But again, it's illustrating the point that this dude is making the world a better place. And sometimes it gets a little messy, but it's for the greater good.
Yeah, and the movie has a good message on stuff like that, and it was a fun movie, and it was a good payoff to the last one. I really think that watching the last movie and this one back to back would really be the best way of watching either of them. I think having the two of them, like watching them as a supercut, would really be a better move.
Yeah.
For these two. But
I'll agree to that.
This one is a standalone. I didn't walk out of it being like just full of adrenaline like I was
the
like
last one. I think the last one I walked out way more jazzed, and because they also left me hanging. I'm like, duh, more.
Well, but like part 1 or 2, or like some of the earlier Mission Impossibles, you like when that movie ends, you're walking out of the theater and you're going dun 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 dun. Yeah, like you're doing like the whole thing. But this one, like,
And maybe that was the point, though. Maybe it was to kind of like calm us down a little bit and be like, hey,
guess, but
we're done here.
Like sidelining Simon Pegg, I just like I didn't like it, I guess. There was some stuff that it was Mission Impossible. It was fun. It's
that
not bad.
airplane scene, though, Tom Cruise is a psychopath. That stunt, I've never seen anything like that shit. Like that was truly insane. When I have time and it's out there on the internet, if there's an extended DVD bonus section, whatever, I want to watch the making of that scene, because that dude was upside down, dangling from a biplane, thousands of feet in the air, just hopping around, like swinging off of the wing and getting in and out of the cockpit, and
using only the strength of his ankles to hold on.
of which he broke in 2 movies ago. I'm just that was nuts, dude. That was so nuts. I was just sitting there watching that, going, "This is the craziest thing I've ever seen," and that was fun. That was crazy. That was crazy.
Yeah, I think the villain payoff.
Gabriel?
Yeah, I think that wasn't what I wanted it to
That
be.
slapstick death that he
Yeah,
had.
it was-
Everybody laughed in the theater, though. I laughed out loud. I thought,
Really?
because it was so dumb.
It was dumb.
He
and it just
racks himself and then splits his head in 2.
yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah, the whole like unbuckle their seatbelt and just let them fall thing. I don't.
Did it feel like a 1960s TV show?
I guess. Yeah, I mean that's what. Yeah, it's not bad. I love Mission Impossible. There's not been one of these that I'm like, oh, this movie sucks.
The other crazy thing,
But this one definitely does slow. You're right about it. Slows it down, and maybe the point of it was to bring it down a notch. But the way they end it, the excitement should have still been there.
Yeah. I don't know why they just didn't have dinner. Can they not like talk to each other? They're talking and hanging out the whole movie, but then it's like at the very end, they're like, well, we're just going to like look at each other in the distance.
Well, okay. And I'll tell you the one thing that really, really bugged me about the way that it ended is that all of these people see each other from a distance or whatever and share like a final look and then go about their ways or something. It's not a big spoiler. You know it's going to end like that. Final reckoning. It's the last of the movies. It's the end of Tom Cruise's run. It's the only way that these movies always end.
yeah.
They did it in London. Of all the cities in the world, they picked the one with the most concentrated and numerous camera network
Yeah. Let's go right here.
where they can definitely be spotted to be 10 feet away from each other.
And who's trying to spot them? Like, why are they in so high? Why the secrecy? You know, I mean, they
Yeah.
just defeated the baddest bad guy.
Ethan was...
Ethan's basically a not just a national hero, but a global hero. And
I mean, I guess we gave it away. I mean, Ethan survives.
well,
but,
duh. No one's going to this movie going, is he gonna make it?
Yeah, but they tease it the whole movie. He's like, I'll take the bullet. I'll do the explosion. I'll fall from the airplane with no parachute and stuff like this. Like, the whole movie is like, well, Ethan's probably going to die. And he's like, it's your team. It's not, I'm going to go do my own thing by myself. No team, just Ethan. I'm going to die for sure. And then at the end of the movie or whatever, yeah, I mean,
There should have just been a
he's carted away by 2 people that absolutely hate him and have power in government for some reason, but then he's out walking free. So clearly he's not wanted. No one. It's not like Mission Impossible 6 or whatever.
Oh, the one where he
where
has to
they're
go
like
rogue.
wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rogue Nation and all that stuff. It's not that. So yeah, why couldn't they?
Just be like, well, good work, team. They had a shot, and chin, let's go. And then Simon's like, oh, I know a really great fish and chip spot around the corner. And then they go, and you know,
It is a movie that if you start asking questions, maybe it falls.
yeah,
apart
you
a
don't,
little
you
bit.
shouldn't. You just let it be.
And the whole submarine thing was cool until
I think
the
that went on
end.
a little too long.
It did
for me, yeah.
Especially when they said,
But it was also a crazy stunt.
you got 10 minutes when you're on site, and it was like, oh, the scene was a lot longer. than
Like
10
him
minutes.
holding his breath, swimming up to the surface. He
That
really
was the
did
part.
that.
That was but that was the part that I didn't like because that was the part that
It was also stupid,
removed the suspense of disbelief and all
just for the stunt.
that. Yeah, and it was like everything they told him was thrown out the window, and then it made no sense anymore, and his ability to survive in any capacity was below zero, and it wasn't just impossible, it was impractical. It was, and so that as a stunt was very cool,
Yeah,
as a visual was very cool,
and as a plot device was not.
exactly.
Yeah.
So this movie has me torn and I don't know how I feel about it compared to the rest of the Mission Impossible movies, but it's definitely worth watching.
Oh yeah,
It's fun. If nothing else, it's fun.
it is fun. It's a lot of fun.
And I mean, Tom Cruise is just super cool.
Well, it is in theaters right now. It's making some money, which Jake's going to tell you about here in just a second. You can check it out. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. It's yeah, man. It's a Mission Impossible movie,
Yeah,
dude.
watch it in the theater. That one.
Yeah.
it's-
Oh, absolutely. You know, and while we're I'll just save this when we get to the box office report, because I do want to talk about Mission Impossible opening weekends. Or maybe I can just jump into there right now, because the Mission Impossible, it's obviously not doing as well as Lilo and Stitch, but compared to the original Mission Impossible, which only had an opening of $45 million, which started it all back in 1996, Dead Reckoning Part 1 had a $54 million opening. So it's doing better than that. But Fallout, which was before Reckoning, only had a $61 million opening. So like Dead Reckoning did not open as strong as Fallout, but Part 2 has opened more. But these are obviously they're not adjusted for inflation, so I don't know what that means. But it's interesting to see how those numbers look when we get into this week's, because this one has a very strong opening box office. So with that said, we're going to give you the box office report for May 23rd to 26th. Some of these numbers are still coming in because it's Memorial Day weekend. So it's we do have the current top 10 up until earlier yesterday. So here we go.
All right. At number 10, Hurry Up Tomorrow, $860,000 brought in by it, and its second week out for Lionsgate has brought in just under $5 million for its total. And then at number 9, The Accountant 2, 5 weeks out already, $2.5 million brought in by it, bringing it up to 63.5. I'm sure that one is going to be very well once it comes home to Amazon.
Oh yeah, I'm probably gonna end up having to watch it streaming, because after this weekend, there might not be, it might get pushed out
for sure. And then at number 8, a Minecraft movie still in there, $2.8 million more for it. 8 weeks out, $421 million. Another 519 globally, $940 million. So it's getting there. And then just above it, at number 7, opening with its wide release, or
It was
only
a wide,
1,000 theaters.
Yeah,
is that wide?
It's expanded.
Yeah, because that's only 25% of them. Friendship, $5.7 million brought in by it. It's officially been out 3 weeks.
It's a good theater average, considering. Yeah.
So it's brought in 8.4. I don't know what the longevity of that one is going to be. I think all of the Die Hard, I Think You Should Leave fans, or people that will just watch a movie because Paul Rudd's name's on it, will go and see it, and I think it'll taper off fairly quickly.
It might pop back up on streaming.
It might be something that once it's at home will be something where people are like, hey man, watch this movie.
So people can clip it and put it on TikTok and stuff.
For sure. I think the short clips of it will do it big favors.
Oh yeah.
Because like I said, the gags work momentarily, but it doesn't go anywhere as far as long form movie. And then opening at number 6, The Last Rodeo. Hey, that has that guy that you like in it.
Yeah. Fuck Neil McDonough.
$6.2 million in its opening weekend. And then above it, Sinners at number 5. $11 million brought in by that one in its 6th week out.
What if I got Neil McDonough to be on the show? Wouldn't that be funny? Like, because
I don't want to be in the room with
I
that.
doubt he would ever go back and watch any of these old episodes. But then if we just interviewed him, like, hell yeah, man, tell us about this movie. Tell
What
us
was
about,
the rundown like? Or no, Walking Tall.
yeah, tell us about being M. Bison. Like, what was that like? And then at the end of the interview, we're just like, yeah, fuck that guy.
Why is it we? I didn't work with him.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah. But his character in Walking Tall, get screwed, dude. But Sinners brought in another $11 million, and it's 6 weeks out has brought it up to just under $260 million. Another $80 million elsewhere. $340 million for something that people didn't see that coming from. And then at number 4, Thunderbolts with an asterisk, $11.8 million in its month mark, $174 million in the U.S., another $181 globally, $355.7, which for these days marks it as a successful Marvel movie. And then above that, at number 3, Final Destination Bloodlines. You talked about it last week.
It's fun. It was a lot of fun.
Second week out, $24 million, bringing it up to 94.1 here at home. So, oh wow, another 92.6 elsewhere. So
About doubled it.
187 almost globally. So I've seen nothing but good things about.
It's a
that
lot of fun, man. I
Yeah.
think you would like it. I think you would actually like it.
Dude, I don't mind the Final Destination movies. I've watched like the first 1 or 2 and parts of others.
4
It's
and
just
5
that-
isn't great, but
It's just that each time you watch a Final Destination movie, it's like not new fear unlocked, but a suspicious fear you had is now solidified.
unless you have some sort of weird fear of going into a hospital and an MRI machine has a research strength setting that can rip your Prince Albert piercing right out of your dick.
Well, I mean,
then
so-
I don't think you're.
MRI machines, though, they do say take off everything metal, all that stuff and everything, and you're like, oh, what if they put the wrong metal in one of my tooth fillings or something? You know?
Yeah,
it's
well,
like-
they take that and it goes to research strength, and like everything in the hospital is like flying toward it's so ridiculous, but
Sure.
it's hilarious.
Yeah, it just spins so damn fast.
Yeah.
Good job, Final Destination. And then opening at number 2. Aw,
Yeah, I know.
that's crap. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, $77 million for it, 127 elsewhere in the world. So $204 million so far. Good job, Mission Impossible. I hope that keeps going. I think as people watch it and talk about it and the stunts are promoted, more and more people will see it, especially if they watch more like. My mom the other day was like, oh, I want to go see that. I've watched all of them at home. I was like, okay, you watched the last one? She's like, what was the last one? I was like, it's the one where this and that and this happened and this is the story. She goes, oh, no, I didn't see that one. I'm like, you need to.
Well, and this weekend, as we're about to say, like Lilo and Stitch, it was a 3-day weekend. You had the kids, and you take them to that,
Yeah.
and boy did they.
And then, topping Mission Impossible at number 1, which I have not seen one positive review of this movie yet. Lilo and Stitch live action, 183 million in the US, another 158.7 elsewhere, so 341.7 globally so far. I think that one may really slow down only because it does not have the same characters, story, or message that made people enjoy the animated movie and the longevity that the animated movie has enjoyed.
Well, and these live action ones never do.
Well, apparently, like, they're like foster kids. It's not the sister trying to raise the sister. There's like aliens that are missing that people would really prefer to be there. Like the changes they've made are all for the worst, and not one person has been like, dude.
Is Zach Galifianakis reprising his role as that other alien?
I think
I think I saw an interview with him in there.
Yeah. Anyhow, doesn't matter. Lilo and Stitch out there made Disney a whole bunch of dollars.
Show did. Well, all right, guys. Well, that's your top 10, and that's the show. Went over time a little bit, but that's okay because Mission Impossible is worth talking about.
I do want to say that Lilo and Stitch's opening domestic take is more than Thunderbolt's entire monthly gross.
Yeah.
So
Those Marvels, they're nuts. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever it is it's convenient for you. We do this every week live, Monday nights, 8 o'clock. We'll be back next week to do the same thing. Like and subscribe, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, or just search wherever it is you get podcasts. Search for the Drive-In Speaker Box podcast. So with that said, we really appreciate you guys joining us, as always. We also have a Discord. Don't forget the Discord. We do that thing. You can get in there. You can share memes with a lot of links, a lot of bits of news and fun stuff there. So yeah, like these 2 VHS tapes that Jake got, Buttercream Gang and
Velvet Santa said we're his friends, and I'm showing him, man, like just like the Buttercream Gang.
heck yeah. Well, all right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.